and say, watch what happens if you touch me. So the white boy touches him, he stabs him. The white boy dies. So now I'm gonna ask y'all, what would have been the normal way for this to happen? Sis?
The white boy called the police on him.
No, that's not the normal. Well, that's not completion of the normal. What is the normal way? Because that's not the normal way. Y'all, you got a normal way? You don't know the normal way. Anybody? Yeah.
When you say the normal way, what you mean by that?
What is the normal way when black people interact with white people in this fashion? What is the normal way?
Oh, the normal thing would
Can't
be
put my damn phone on here, man.
the normal thing would be for them to submit to the will of of the oppressor.
Right, the normal way would have been for Carmelo to get up out of his chair, go about his business. Carmelo was sick of that. So we're gonna get into that, and I'm gonna show you why white people were shocked and why we're shocked at when we see black people stand up to this oppressor, why it's so shocking to us and white people. We'll get into that. But for now, I'll take any questions that you have. Of course, if you got any questions, you want to type your questions in the chat. What zones do we have today? Here?
We got Florida with us.
Let's get Florida in here. We got Florida up in the building.
Dallas.
We got Dallas. We got the Dallas. We got Dallas in Florida. You can chime in at any time. Of course, we got any questions in the room? Any questions? We got questions online?
We got one question online.
I've seen a couple. You might want to scroll up because there was a brother that typed in questions before class started. I saw.
I must have missed it.
Yeah, it was in Acts. I think he had a question on Acts something.
I'll check it.
Yeah, if you go all the way up to the top, it was like Acts something.
So I'll look for those.
I don't sweat.
This brother asked a lot of stuff, and I did a general breakdown of Hebrews 2 and 14.
Good.
Hebrews chapter 2 verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
For as much then as the children are partakers of flesh and blood, he also himself likewise took part of the same, that through death he might destroy him that had the power of death, that is, the devil.
So you want a general breakdown of what this is? What this is talking about? You got to go up. We can break it down all right. So read it from the top again.
Khan. Hebrews chapter 2 verse 14. For as much then as the children are
I'm
partakers.
sorry. I'm sloppy. Go to read verse 9 in the same chapter.
Verse 9. But we see Jesus, who was made.
You can say Yahweh.
But we see Yahushua, who was made a little lower than the angels for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor.
So we know what that means. Christ born down here, just like you and I, crowned with glory and honor, because he suffered and endured unto death, which is what you got to think about in these days and time. Like, Christ died on purpose. You trying not to die, but in order to not die, you have to live according to the commandments, which is different. Like, Christ came here knowing. Can you imagine, like, his life was predestined, you might as well say. He knew when he was going to die, how he was going to die, he knew who was going to betray him. He knew all of that and then did it anyway. Still obeyed. When you think about it, if you know you're going to die, you ever saw that? There was a song I was just listening to called 24 Hours to Live by Mace and the Locks. You ever heard that song, 24 Hours to Live?
Come on.
Where would you go? What would you do? And then this song, 24 Hours, because they knew they had 24 hours to live, they talking about all the things they're going to do because they know they're going to die in the 24 hours. None of it was righteous. None of it. They about to bang a broad, they about to blow the church up, they about to blow the police station up, all of that. Christ, knowing that he was about to die, still did what God said and was obedient to death. Whereas you that are living don't know when you're going to die, should be more obedient because you don't know. So now this is talking about Christ made a little lower than the angels for the suffering of death. Keep going.
That he, by the grace of God, should taste death for every man.
That he should take, like he's taking the death for all of us. Like he died for your sins. He didn't die for his sins because he didn't commit no sin. But we committed sin, so he died for the taste of death for every man. Keep going. Oh, sorry. So now, that's so you can understand when we read 14, what it's talking about in 14. So now read 14.
Come. Verse 14. For as much then as the children are partakers of flesh and blood.
So now, as we are born of flesh and blood, or we are born in this earthly body, keep going.
He also himself likewise took part of the same.
And it is so important to understand him taking part of the same, because right now, I think tomorrow is Good Friday. Right, I talked to my daughter before I did this class, and at school they got her Easter egg hunt. First thing I said was, you know that's not real. She said, yeah, I know, Daddy, that's just what they did at the school. Now, tomorrow is Good Friday, so they have an Easter egg hunt, and then tomorrow is Good Friday. You know why it's called Good Friday? Because they think it's good for Jesus to die, so that they can keep sinning. They think it's like we look at Christ's death as, I'm never gonna sin again because he died for my sins. Christians look at it like, I can sin because that nigga died for me. Just think about that. I can continue to be wicked, and it's good that Jesus died so I can stay being wicked, because I don't have to keep the law. That's what they're saying. So now it says that we were likewise partakers of the same. Keep going.
That through death he might destroy him that had the power of death, that is the devil.
Now, the devil is you. The devil ain't just the demon that convinces you, because the demon does not take your hand and make you commit the sin. The thought comes in your head, like James, the first chapter says, let no man say when he is tempted, I'm tempted of God. But every temptation comes with your thought. Now, the more you listen to that thought, the more sin is conceived, and then you act on it. So without Christ, we couldn't go to the Most High without paying for what we did. And so that's the death that Christ tasted for us.
Come. Verse 15. And delivered them who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage.
You were always subjected to the debt that you owe. Because damn near, like, imagine if you owe somebody money. Every time you see him, you know what you're trying to do? You're trying to avoid him. Because you ain't got the money, especially if you're a bully. You ever see that movie, was it Bronx Tale? I think it was Bronx Tale, where the cat owed him money, and every time he seen him, he said, oh, I gotta go see my mother, I gotta go to my mother. Everybody got a little old.
I remember that, so I'm old too.
Somebody know the movie I'm talking about. But in the movie Bronx Tale, he owed him money, and he always ran from him. And that's us. As we owe that debt to the Lord, you're running from him. And you know where you run? Because you still want to be spiritual, you run into the Christian church, you run into the Muslim mosque, you run anywhere where you can appear spiritual, but you don't have to pay a debt. That's exactly what you do. You got to go somewhere where the debt could be lowered and you ain't got to pay. So keep going. I'm sorry. So we were in that lifetime of bondage until Christ came. And then Christ wiped the slate clean. Like, you know, when you file bankruptcy, all your debts are paid. So now Christ filed for us, if I was to say it like that. Now all debts are paid, but you can't go back in debt. So you can't now be a sinner. Like, people got mad at me when I say I'm not a sinner. It's in the Bible though. And if y'all need the verse in the Bible as to, and I'll show you. Matter of fact, I read the next. I think we good. Y'all don't need 16 and 17, do y'all? If y'all need it, y'all let me know. All right. Now do this for me. Go to 1 John 1 and 10. Go 1 John 1 and 8. I asked somebody asked me this because they got mad at me when I said I'm not a sinner. They got mad at me.
1 John chapter 1 verse 8. If we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us.
Now, I just said I'm not a sinner. So the truth not in me? Now I want you to hold this verse, stay right in 1 John, go to 1 John 3 and 9.
For
We're
John,
going to come right back to this one, but read that.
1 John chapter 3 verse 9. Whosoever is born of God do not commit sin.
Now go back to 1 John 1 and 8.
1 John chapter 1 verse 8. If we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves.
So how can you be born of God and not be a sinner But then if you say you don't have no sin, we deceive ourselves. How are you gonna answer that? Is there two mics or still only one mic? Just,
Really.
all right.
There's one mic up there. There's one mic on the top of the speaker.
The other one, the worst, it got kind of like a reverb.
Okay. Come on, sis.
Are following the law, statutes, and commandments.
Okay, that's not answering the question though. The question I'm asking is, one verse says, if we follow God, we have no sin. The other verse says, the same writer says, if we say we have no sin, we deceive ourselves. So how do you explain it?
So like it, sir, it talks about the past sins that he committed.
Exactly. That's what 1 John 1:8 is talking about. And that's important. Like, you can't walk through them doors and you say I'm an innocent man. You can't do that. When you walk in them doors, you are a sinner. And then as you learning to obey God, learning what it is to do, what it is not to do, what's a sin, what's not a sin. Now, if God is in you, then you don't have sin. So 1 John 1:8 through 10 is talking about when you start, when you repent. 1 John 3:9 is like, now I'm living for Christ, I'm living for the Most High. That's what that's talking about. All right? Take the next question.
Quick one.
Did you find that question that brother had? Huh?
That one?
Yeah, because that was first. He asked it first.
Brother says, Shalom, Yahweh Shemi Al-Shabbat God, who is a call on from Dallas, Texas. So Laki outlines Acts 18 and 13. What's the law that he broke?
All right, so let's read it.
Acts chapter 18, verse 13, saying, this fellow persuaded man
Good.
to worship God contrary to the law.
Let me see. Go up, so what this is talking about, when you read the story, I'm trying to see where I can start with. Go to Acts 18 and 1.
Acts chapter 18, verse 1. After these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth.
So now, this is right after Paul gets the order from Christ to go and teach Christ. Because remember, Paul at one time was persecuting Christians. I'm saying that word because that's the word that's in the Bible, Acts 11 and 18. If you was followers of Christ, they derogatory, and it was like, if we say nigga today, that's what Christian was back then, right? So as Paul is persecuting followers of Christ, Christ meets Paul. Now Paul is teaching to follow Christ. That's important. So now go to verse, he wanted Acts 18 and 13. Read Acts 18 and 11.
Come, verse 11. And he continued there a year and 6 months, teaching the word of God among them.
So now as Paul is teaching the word of the Most High, what else is he teaching? He's teaching about Christ. He's teaching about Yahweh at the same time. Read verse 12.
Verse 12. And when Galileo was the deputy of
Okay.
Achaia, the Jews made insurrection with one accord against Paul and brought him to the judgment seat.
Now here we go. Here's one of the first of many battles that Paul and the disciples had. They're bringing him and causing the insurrection. Read the next verse.
Come. Verse 13. Saying, this fellow persuaded man to worship God, contrary to the law.
What is the contrary to the law? So that's his question. What were they saying that he was doing contrary to the law? That's the question that he's asking. Anybody know? I gave you all the answers. I broke it down. Sis?
Transgression.
No.
Salaki, what was the question again, sir?
Well, the question is, what was Paul doing contrary to the law?
It's like he was persecuting the people that was following Christ.
No, because he stopped doing that. He's teaching about Christ. So what are they saying he's doing contrary to the law?
Gentiles?
They, this ain't 2025, so they don't, it's all Israel.
Were they accusing him of violating the laws of Moses
By,
by teaching about Christ?
that's what they were saying. What they was charging him with, they took him to court. They took him to court, said punch him in the face, because he said he lived earnestly towards the Most High. So because what they said was breaking the law was teaching about Christ. When you go further, you'll see that he was taken to court. I don't know if it was in Acts 19. I'll tell you the chapter in 1 second. I'll give you the chapter where they actually took him to court. Give me 1 second, y'all. And Acts the 23rd chapter is when they actually take him to court for that. Because they was falsely accusing him. So to answer the brother's question, he wasn't breaking no law. But teaching about Christ was against the law to the Jews, to answer his question. All right, I'll take the next question.
So, quick one, the brother asked, Shalom, Cap, I know it's lawful to warm or cook food on the Sabbath. Are we allowed to go to restaurants to patronize it on the Sabbath?
Is he in school?
His name is just Horace Grant.
No, he's, y'all don't know who that is?
No.
No, you should try, what you should do on the Sabbath is, you should not go to the restaurant. If you're secure, that's not. No. If you can avoid going to the restaurant, then go to the restaurant. Correct. Now, for us, if we are at camp, it may be something unavoidable for us, we don't have to. All right?
We don't have to.
Are you a civilian? Sure.
Brother asks, Salaki, sir, if I may, is Jeremiah 51 and 20 through 23 a future prophecy, or has it happened already?
Say it one more time.
Is Jeremiah 51?
Let's read it.
Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 20. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee would I break in pieces the
No,
nation.
that has not happened yet. Did we beat any nations in the pieces yet? No, that has not happened yet, no. We have not, there has not come a time yet, like Jeremiah 16:16, when it says, behold, I will send for many fishers, and they were fishmen. That's the state that we're in right now. Now, the latter part of that verse says, behold, I will send for many hunters, and we will hunt men, which will go right in conjunction with Jeremiah 51. That has not happened yet, no.
Sorry, sir.
Good?
We beat the hell out of the French, sir.
Is there who?
Most times first.
We beat the hell out of the French.
Right, and then the French, where's Haiti at now?
In turmoil.
Shalom.
Come.
Next.
Another brother followed up on that, and asked, why would someone ask me to go to a restaurant when he clearly said nobody? So
I don't even know what you're
I figured you might want to.
No.
That's across the line.
You're supposed to,
That's across the county.
you're supposed to be here. I'll take the next question, I'll take the next question.
Austin Tapazar says, Shalom, how about Shemiyah Shabbat?
Yes, sir.
Can I get a breakdown of Hebrews 12 and 2 through 4?
Hebrews 12, 2 through 4, let's get it.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2. Looking unto Jesus.
Start at verse 1.
Verse 1. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doeth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us.
So now, what is this talking about? And it's talking about letting aside every weight that's every burden. Like, there's a lot of times brothers come in here, sisters come in here, you have great burdens. One of the greatest burdens is not even believing that you're forgiven for your past life. There's a